Welcome to Buttercup News. I'm Mel F, and tonight we'll be discussing tobacco. Do you roll your own cigarettes? And do you know the true effects it's having on your health? We'll be exploring this conundrum with empty nesters Mark and Linda, discussing their journey into retirement and how smoking has affected their lives, relationships, and the future. We'll also be hearing from expert marketer Dr. Jay Winfield and how agencies are using comparative advertisements to strike a chord with the empty nest 2 demographic in an effort to cut down on roll your own cigarette smokers over the age of 65. Now we'll cut to Jim and Nixon, who sat down to have a chat with the couple about their lives. Out to you, Jim Jam.
Mark and Linda, a couple of almost 50 years, have reached the golden years of their life and are reaping the benefits of a hard-earned career. They've recently moved into a retirement village and out of their 4-bedroom home, and were more than happy to have a chat about their lives together. We're here with Mark and Linda talking about their lives and how smoking has affected their health.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us in.
So, first of all, how long have you been a smoker for, Mark?
Been a smoker about 30 years now. Linda's never smoked a day in her life, and I tend to stay away from her when I do smoke. I moved to roll your own cigarettes about 3 years ago when we retired, just to save a little bit of money.
And how's that going for you?
I think it's going well, and I think I'm improving, but Linda doesn't seem to see a change.
It's true, Jimmy. While the pouches are cheaper, he's been smoking more since he's retired, and the costs aren't getting any easier.
Why do you think that's the case, Linda?
I think it's because he has more time on his hands. He's retired, so he isn't really doing anything. I like to see him get out more, maybe get in the garden or play golf with his friends.
What do you think the effect that smoking has on your health and on your wallet?
I've started using some better filters, so I feel that the tar and other bad things aren't getting to me as easily. I know it's not a big change, but I think it's a positive one. I think I'm smoking less, but Linda seems to think that we're spending the same amount of money on cigarettes as what we were before.
We spend about $8,000 a year on tobacco, and this isn't going to be sustainable for us if we want to live a comfortable retirement. While I know it's difficult and I'm realistic, I'd just like to see him cut down, so we don't have such a financial burden in the next 15 years.
I know it's a difficult habit, which I'd like to change, because I'd really like to keep up with the grandkids. They're 6 and 8, and they run me off my feet very easily.
That's very honourable, Mark. Do you think that any of your friends or family had an impact on the decision of choosing roll your own cigarettes?
I had one of my friends get me into them because of the money saving and the different filter options that you have. You can pick a longer filter, which makes it healthier for you. I buy 2 to 3 packets a week and find that I smoke more when I'm stressed and anxious. I also go to the same tobacconist, which I have been for the last 20 years. He's a few kilometres over in a suburb closer to where we used to live, but I find that I do get a better price when I go to him.
What about your usage, Mark? Do you have any consumption habits that is involved in your smoking?
I tend to find that I start my day with a coffee and a cigarette. I'm not much of a breakfast person anymore, as I stopped eating it when I retired. But when I do go out, not many of my friends smoke, so I tend not to smoke more when I am out with them.
I see him smoke more at home. He's really picked up since he's retired. I think he gets stressed when he's not really doing anything. Mark was a huge workaholic and doesn't do much, so it leaves him a lot of time to fill in.
And finally, how do you dispose of your used cigarette butts?
I've been pretty good with getting rid of my cigarette butts since I did start smoking. I carry around a portable tin to store them and throw them out later, so I impact the environment less. I know it's a bad habit, so I don't want to negatively impact this planet, and I want to leave as little a footprint as possible.
Thank you so much for your time and insights, guys. Back to you, Mel.
Thanks again, Mark and Linda, for spending your afternoon with us. Now we've got Dr. Jay Winfield, marketing expert, to discuss JMJ Consulting's new approach to change the mind of smokers nationally, but specifically those in the empty nest 2 demographic.
Through market research, it is found that there was an effectiveness between both educational and shock imagery for smokers within the empty nest 2 demographic. The shock imagery does indeed possess a greater advantage in staying memorable in people's minds, but with that in mind, most ads are targeting shock factor. It is always worthwhile changing approach, specifically aiming messages about how smoking will directly affect the quality of life of this target market. As is shown from the market research, people tend to believe that graphic images will more likely change their opinions about smoking. Advertisements, which blend both educational and shock, can be an effective way of targeting people's perceptual vigilance. Targeting people by focusing on iconic rote learning is an effective way of gaining understanding of the consequences of smoking. Our proposition is to compare both roll your own cigarettes against tailor-made cigarettes to disprove any myths or previous education by big tobacco that different filters, tobacco products, or smaller cigarettes are a healthier option than heavy tobacco products. All tobacco products make people's quality of life poor and can shorten their life expectancy by up to 10 years. As displayed in this concept poster, the effects of both options are equally as deadly and cause the same diseases regardless of the preferred method of smoking. This strategy aims to use repetitive techniques and corrective advertising to re-educate the empty nest 2 demographic. The aim is to change a smoker's cognitive attitude towards smoking, to realize the impact that they are having on their lives and how this behavior is affecting the final years which they should be enjoying. These simple facts, paired with the imagery of a set of smokers' lungs, is used to cause cognitive dissonance and gain the attention of the target market. If we are able to effectively target both cognitive understanding along with their attitude towards how they are impacting their lives on a greater scale, we hope to reduce smoking-related deaths and ensure those within the empty nest 2 category do not leave their families behind prematurely.
Thank you, Dr. Winfield, for that compelling insight into how you're trying to help people change their lives for the better. And thank you for watching tonight. Until next time, I'm Mel F. Good night.